ready to unlock some serious brain power. Today, we're taking a deep dive into strategic thinking.
Oh, I love this topic. Strategic thinking is so crucial, and yet so many people misunderstand it.
It's true. I know when people hear strategic thinking, they might think, oh, that's just for CEOs and big shot executives, but honestly, it's for everyone.
I couldn't agree more. It's about making thoughtful decisions in all aspects of life, from our careers to our personal lives.
Exactly. And to guide us through this deep dive, we're tapping into the wisdom of leadership expert, Michael Watkins.
Oh, Watkins, he's brilliant. I'm a big fan of his work, especially his book, The 6 Disciplines of Strategic Thinking.
It's a must-read. In it, Watkins breaks down strategic thinking into 6 core skills, which we'll be unpacking today.
And I love how he emphasizes that strategic thinking isn't some innate talent, It's a set of skills that anyone can learn and develop.
Right, so no need to feel intimidated if you're not naturally a strategic thinker.
Exactly. With practice and the right tools, anyone can up their strategic thinking game.
Love that. Okay, so let's dive into skill number 1, pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition. It's all about connecting those dots that others might miss.
Like in chess. You know how a grandmaster can see moves way ahead that the average player like me is totally clueless about?
Precisely. They see the patterns, the relationships between the pieces, and how those relationships might evolve. And it's not just about seeing what's right in front of you, it's about understanding the why behind the what.
That makes sense. So it's about seeing the bigger picture, the underlying forces that are shaping the current reality.
Exactly. And this is especially crucial in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with information.
It's true. Information overload is real.
It is. So pattern recognition, it helps us filter out the noise and focus on the signals that actually matter.
It's like having a superpower in the digital age. But this isn't just for chess masters and data scientists, right?
Yeah.
This feels relevant for, everything from, say, understanding market trends.
Oh, absolutely.
To, figuring out why your favorite brand of coffee suddenly tastes different.
Precisely. It's about recognizing those subtle shifts, understanding what's driving them. Like maybe your coffee beans are being sourced from a different region this year due to, maybe climate change is affecting the crops, or maybe the roasting process has changed. It's about connecting those dots.
Okay, I'm already feeling like I need to pay more attention. I never thought about it that way. So we've mastered spotting the patterns. But now, how do these patterns connect within a larger system? That brings us to skill number 2. Systems analysis.
Systems analysis. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
It can sound intimidating.
But it's really not as complex as it sounds. It's about understanding how things work together, how different parts of a system interact and influence each other.
Okay, so thinking of the human body as a system.
Perfect example. You have all these different organs, each with a specific function, all working together to keep the body running. Systems analysis is about understanding those interactions, those interdependencies.
So it's not about knowing every minute detail of how each individual cell operates or something.
Exactly. You don't need to be a doctor to understand that if one organ isn't functioning properly, it can affect the entire system.
Right.
It's about identifying the key factors, those essential connections, the points of leverage that can have a ripple effect throughout the system. Think about baking a loaf of bread. You have all these different ingredients, flour, water, salt, but it's the yeast, this tiny little ingredient, that really makes the magic happen.
It makes the bread rise. It's small but mighty.
Exactly. And if you don't understand the role of yeast in that system, you're going to have a pretty flat loaf of bread.
So systems analysis is about understanding those key ingredients, those essential connections that make the whole thing work.
You got it. It's about seeing the forest and the trees.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about recognizing patterns, understanding systems. Now let's talk about putting all of this together. That brings us to skill number 3, mental agility. This one really speaks to me, this idea of being able to shift perspectives, to hold both the big picture and those finer details in mind at the same time.
It's such a valuable skill, especially in today's fast-paced world. Watkins talks about this idea of cloud-to-ground thinking.
Cloud-to-ground thinking. I love that visual. It sounds like a mental workout.
It is. It's about being able to zoom out and see the strategic landscape, but then also zoom back in and focus on a specific problem, or opportunity. It's like if you're planning a cross-country road trip.
Oh, I love a good road trip analogy.
You need that big picture view of the entire route, right? You need to know the major highways, the milestones you want to hit along the way.
Right. But then you also need to be able to zoom in and navigate those smaller roads, those detours, maybe find some hidden gems along the way.
Exactly. You wouldn't try to navigate through a city using only a satellite view, would you?
No way.
Yeah.
You need that street level view too.
Precisely. So mental agility is about having that flexibility to shift between the big picture and the essential details. It's about being able to see the forest, the trees, and maybe even the individual leaves on those trees.
It's like having a mental zoom lens, being able to adjust your focus depending on the situation. I love it. Okay, so we're getting really good at this whole strategic thinking thing. We're recognizing patterns, we're analyzing systems, we're flexing our mental agility. But sometimes, even with all the best intentions and preparation, things don't go according to plan.
That's life, right?
It is. And that brings us to skill number 4, which is, in my opinion, a game changer. Structured problem solving.
Ah, yes. Because winging it only gets you so far.
Exactly. So tell me more about this structured approach. What does that look like in practice?
Well, for starters, it's about approaching problems systematically, ideally as a team. It helps to ensure you're actually solving the right problem, not just addressing a symptom of a larger issue.
So it's about taking that step back, making sure you're really clear on the problem before jumping into solution mode.
Exactly, because sometimes we get so caught up in putting out fires that we don't realize we're just putting band-aids on a much deeper wound.
Ouch, that's a good analogy. So how do we avoid that trap?
That's where the structured part comes in. Having a framework, a process for breaking down complex challenges into more manageable chunks, for brainstorming potential solutions, for evaluating those solutions and making informed decisions. It's not just about having a good idea, it's about knowing how to execute that idea effectively.
So it's like that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Exactly. But with structured problem solving, you do know where you're going and you have a plan for getting there. And that plan helps you stay focused and aligned, especially when things get chaotic. Because let's face it, chaos is inevitable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world. So being able to navigate that chaos effectively is crucial.
It is. And that's what makes structured problem solving so valuable. It gives you that sense of control, that roadmap for navigating complexity.
I love that. It's like having a trusty compass when you're venturing into uncharted territory. It doesn't guarantee you'll reach your destination without any hiccups, but it certainly increases your chances of getting there. Okay, we're on a roll here. We've covered pattern recognition, systems analysis, mental agility, and structured problem solving. Feeling smarter already.
Oh, absolutely. And we're just getting started.
I know, this is exciting stuff. And it's about to get even more interesting as we move on to skill number 5. Visioning. Are we talking full-on Steve Jobs level, changing the world kind of vision here?
Well, it can be that grand, sure, but it doesn't have to be. At its core, visioning is about painting a picture of a desired future state. It's about identifying where you want to go and why that destination is so compelling that people will want to join you on the journey.
Okay, so it's not just about having a great idea yourself. It's about communicating that idea in a way that inspires and motivates others to get on board.
Precisely. It's about creating a shared sense of purpose, a shared understanding of what you're trying to achieve together.
So it's like you're not just building a company or launching a product, you're building a movement.
Exactly. And that's a powerful thing.
It is. But as with anything worthwhile, there's a balance, right?
Absolutely. And Watkins does a great job of highlighting this in his book. He talks about the importance of finding that sweet spot between ambition and achievability.
So you need to dream big, but not so big that it becomes demotivating because it feels impossible.
Exactly, because if people don't believe the vision is achievable, they're not going to be inspired to work towards it.
It's like setting a personal goal, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be challenging enough to get you excited, but not so far out of reach that you just give up.
Perfect analogy. The best visions, they tap into both our heads and our hearts. They're aspirational, but they're also grounded in reality.
I love that, aspirational yet grounded. And that brings us to our final skill. And it's one that often gets overlooked in discussions about strategic thinking, maybe because it feels a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
And that skill is navigating politics. There, I said it.
The P word. It's always a bit of a touchy subject, isn't it?
It is, especially in the workplace.
It's true. But here's the thing. Wherever you have people interacting, pursuing goals, well, there will be politics. It's just human nature.
So it's less about pretending those dynamics don't exist and more about learning how to navigate them effectively.
Precisely. And that's where Watkins' concept of sequencing strategy comes in. It's about being really thoughtful about how you communicate your ideas, who you bring on board early on, how you frame your arguments to resonate with different stakeholders.
So it's like, instead of seeing politics as this dirty word, we need to reframe it as a strategic game.
I love that.
Yeah.
A strategic game where understanding the players, the rules, the unspoken dynamics is essential for success.
And that doesn't mean you have to become some sort of master manipulator or anything, right?
No, not at all. It's not about being manipulative or insincere. It's about being savvy, understanding that people are motivated by different things, and framing your ideas in a way that addresses those different perspectives.
So it's more about building relationships, finding common ground, and bringing people along with you.
Exactly. It's about influencing, not dictating. It's about understanding that achieving your goals often requires the support and buy-in of others, especially those who might not initially see things your way.
That's such a crucial point, because you can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you can't get others on board, it's not going to go anywhere.
Exactly. So mastering the art of navigating politics, it's essential for anyone who wants to make a real impact.
It's like they say, it's not always what you know, but who you know. Or maybe in this case, it's about what you know and who you know, and how you leverage both to achieve your goals.
Now you're thinking strategically.
I'm trying. So much to unpack there. I think this idea of sequencing strategy is so key when it comes to navigating those political waters.
It's all about timing and knowing your audience.
Exactly. It's like you were saying before, it's a strategic game. You have to be smart about how you play it. But okay, before we spiral down the rabbit hole of organizational politics, let's zoom back out to the bigger picture of strategic thinking. We've covered a lot of ground here, from recognizing patterns and analyzing systems to flexing our mental agility and even navigating those sometimes murky waters of organizational politics.
It's quite the toolkit we're building, isn't it?
It is. And it's got me thinking, we often talk about strategic thinking in the context of like business or leadership, but these skills, they feel so relevant for just, life in general, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Whether you're leading a team, starting a business, or just trying to navigate your own personal goals and relationships, these skills are invaluable.
It's about being intentional, being thoughtful about the choices we make and the actions we take.
Exactly. And I think that's what I appreciate most about Watkins' approach. He doesn't present strategic thinking as this exclusive club for the elite few.
Right. It's not just for chess prodigies and Fortune 500 CEOs.
Exactly. He breaks it down in a way that makes it accessible and applicable to everyone.
And he emphasizes that it's a skill, or rather a set of skills, that can be learned and developed over time.
Precisely. It's not like you're either born a strategic thinker or you're not. We can all cultivate these skills with practice and intention, which is encouraging.
It is. It's like learning a new language or playing a musical instrument. The more you practice, the better you get.
Yeah.
So that are these 6 skills that we've been discussing: pattern recognition, systems analysis, mental agility, structured problem solving, visioning, and navigating politics. Is there one that particularly resonates with you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. They're all so interconnected, and I think they all play an important role. But if I had to choose just one, I'd say I'm particularly drawn to mental agility.
Oh, I can see why. It's such a valuable skill in today's fast-paced, ever-changing world. Tell me more about what draws you to that particular skill.
Well, for me, it's about being able to hold multiple perspectives at once, to see the nuances and the complexities of a situation. It's about being comfortable with ambiguity, being open to new information, and being willing to adjust course when needed.
It's about being adaptable and resilient, which are such essential qualities for life in general.
Absolutely. And, I think cultivating mental agility, it's not just about processing information quickly or being able to switch between tasks easily, although those are definitely part of it.
It's more than just multitasking, isn't it?
Yes. It's about having that flexible mindset, that willingness to challenge your own assumptions and to see things from different angles.
It's about embracing uncertainty and being open to the possibility that you might not have all the answers.
Exactly. And that can be a little bit uncomfortable at times, but it's also incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to be more creative, more innovative, and ultimately more effective in your thinking and decision making.
I love that. So if you had to give our listeners one piece of advice for strengthening their own mental agility, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think I would encourage them to actively seek out diverse perspectives.
Ooh, seek out diverse perspectives. I like that. Tell me more.
It's so easy to get stuck in our own echo chambers, right?
Oh, it's so true. Surrounded by people who think just like us, who consume the same media, who reinforce our existing beliefs. It's comfortable, but it doesn't really challenge us to grow, does it?
Exactly. And, seeking out diverse perspectives, it doesn't just mean talking to people who disagree with you, although that's definitely part of it.
Wait, it's not just about, picking a fight with someone on Twitter.
Exactly. It can also mean exposing yourself to different fields of study, different cultures, different ways of thinking. It's about adding new colors to your mental palette.
I love that visual, adding new colors to your mental palette. It's like if you only ever eat vanilla ice cream, you're missing out on a whole world of flavors.
Precisely. And the more flavors you experience, the more sophisticated your palate becomes. The same goes for our thinking. The more diverse perspectives we expose ourselves to, the more nuanced and sophisticated our own thinking becomes.
So it's not just about being right or wrong, it's about expanding our understanding of the world and all its complexities.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. Because when you approach learning and problem solving with that kind of openness and curiosity, you never know what connections you might make, what insights you might uncover.
It's about embracing the unknown and being open to the possibility that you might learn something new, that you might need to adjust your perspective.
Yeah.
Which could be a little scary.
It can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding because it allows us to grow both personally and intellectually. And ultimately, I think it makes us more compassionate, more understanding, and more effective human beings.
I love that. So for our listeners who are feeling inspired to expand their own mental agility, what's one small step they can take today to start incorporating this idea of seeking diverse perspectives into their own lives?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think. I would say start by actively seeking out information and perspectives that challenge your existing beliefs.
Okay, so challenge your beliefs. That sounds a little scary, but also exciting. How do we do that in a way that feels, productive and not just argumentative for the sake of being argumentative?
Right. Well, I think it starts with curiosity. Instead of immediately dismissing a viewpoint that differs from your own, take a moment to really listen and try to understand where that person is coming from. Ask questions, seek clarification, and be open to the possibility that you might learn something new.
I love that, starting with curiosity. It's so easy to slip into that defensive mode when someone challenges our beliefs, but approaching it with curiosity, that changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it?
It really does. It transforms it from a potential battle into an opportunity for growth.
And who knows? You might even discover that your previous beliefs were a bit, limited.
Or maybe you'll find even more evidence to support your existing beliefs. Either way, you're expanding your understanding and strengthening your own thinking.
It's a win-win. So for our listeners who are feeling inspired to expand their own mental agility, what's one small step they can take today to start incorporating this idea of seeking diverse perspectives into their own lives?
That's a good question. Let me think. I think I'd say pick up a book on a topic you know nothing about or very little about.
Ooh, I love that. Step outside your comfort zone, explore something new. What else?
Or strike up a conversation with someone with a very different background or life experience than your own.
Yes, because everyone has a story to tell. And those stories can teach us so much about the world and about ourselves if we're open to hearing them.
Precisely. It's about opening ourselves up to new possibilities, new ways of seeing the world. And who knows, you might just be surprised at the insights you uncover and the connections you make along the way.
That's the beauty of it. I love that. Well, I think this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of strategic thinking. We've covered so much ground, from recognizing patterns and analyzing systems to envisioning the future and even navigating those sometimes tricky waters of organizational politics.
It's been quite the journey.
It has. And we've learned that strategic thinking, it's not just for CEOs and executives, it's a set of skills that anyone can develop and hone over time.
Absolutely. It's about asking the right questions, challenging our assumptions, and being open to new perspectives.
It's about being curious, being adaptable, and being willing to embrace a little bit of uncertainty along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And with that, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of strategic thinking. Until next time, happy strategizing.